Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I love you, man. Always have.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss Stand By Me, which came out in 1986 from director Rob Reiner. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows four friends who live in the town of Castle Rock in Oregon. We follow Gordy, Chris, Teddy, and Vern as they set out on a bit of a mission to find the body of one of their missing school friends. But as they embark on their adventure, they may realize that they come back different than when they set off.
This is, of course, based on the Stephen King novella,
Yeah.
The Body, which was a part of the book The Different Seasons,
Oh,
which included the Shawshank Redemption story,
nice.
as well as the Apt Pupil story.
Oh, yeah, I like that film.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, it's just like three really good films all from one book.
Yeah.
But of course, Stephen King, he's synonymous. He's one of the most well-known authors on the planet with the amount of adaptations from his work.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, the director of this, Rob Reiner, would go on to direct Misery after the success of this one.
Yeah.
And Stephen King would go on to say that Stand By Me was to Stephen King the perfect adaptation of his book. And at the time of this film's release, the best adaptation of his work. And Stand By Me kind of has a bit of a legacy behind it as well.
Yeah.
It is one of the most cherished and well-known films. It's in the 1,000 films to see before
Oh,
you
totally.
die.
Yeah.
And is a film that I've kind of grown up with as well. This film's been a part of my childhood, and I kind of revisit this film every so often as well.
Yeah. I was the same. Weirdly enough, when I set up the film to watch for the review, and the title slide came up, and the music starts gently in the background, I got a lump right in my throat as I was getting my notepad, and I for a second I was just like, fucking emotional. The film's only just started. But then I started to think about why that was happening to me, and I realized that, like you, I watched this when I was a kid, probably early 90s, and when when you're hanging around with friends in school, anybody else who watched Stand By Me, or already you kind of had this camaraderie with them that you were going to go out on adventures and camp and hang out and blah blah blah, but then when I watched it, as I sat down to watch it for the review, and it opens up with Richard Dreyfuss sat in that car, and I remembered how this film plays out and what happens at the end, I realized that I now relate to him.
Right, yeah.
When I was a kid, I was relating to the kids. And now as I'm an adult, I'm relating to him, remembering what it was like to be a kid. And like I said, that's what got me emotional, because I was like, oh, fuck. Wow, this film's like opened up memories that I haven't thought about in years. And it's not even getting started yet.
Right.
I was 12 going on 13 the first time I saw a dead human being. It happened in the summer of 1959, a long time ago. But only if you measure in terms of years.
So we start with Richard Dreyfuss just sat in his car. He glances down at a newspaper article. But the way the music is being used and the way the camera just kind of rests on him while he's just sat there, you can tell what he's read is really quite personal.
Yeah.
And I love Richard Dreyfuss. It's very hard to find a film that you don't, like Richard Dreyfuss is in, that you don't enjoy.
Right,
Like,
right.
I'm just going to throw it out here. What About Bob with Bill Murray is a fucking classic. You can forget Jaws. But then it flicks back, doesn't it? We go back to 1959, Castle Rock, and Richard Dreyfuss is playing Gordon LaChance, and the younger version of Gordy is played by Will Wheaton. Wesley Crusher from Star Trek, anybody? I mean, this guy is a fucking king of the nerds.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think it's funny that Will Wheaton is now well known as an author himself, as a writer.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like his character from Stand By Me has grown up to become a writer.
Yeah. The weird thing is, I remember seeing him in Star Trek and being like, oh yeah, it's Will Wheaton. He's like he's the boy I want to be in Star Trek. And then realizing he was in Stand By Me, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you're a good actor.
Yeah.
I can't, no wonder you're on Star Trek. I'm just sitting here sucking on my thumb. We have the amazing River Phoenix playing Chris Chambers. I've seen only a few productions with River Phoenix.
He was young Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
in
he was.
The third film.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He
was in a film with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, it was something else. But like I said, he died very young. Died
23.
Outside the Vipers Club in Los Angeles, drug related. And along with one of his other co-stars, Corey Feldman in this, who plays Teddy. They were products of the film industry, how you can be abused.
Yeah.
They were given so much money and they were plied with so much fucking attention and drugs and drink. Weird way though, I mean, River Phoenix kind of, deserved it because he was that damn good.
He was amazing, yeah. He really was. I mean, Corey Feldman was an amazing actor.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very memorable. You remember him from Gremlins. You remember him from The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
And he was in Goonies as well.
Yeah.
And Stand By Me. It's just like there's one hit after another.
He was great in The Burbs as well.
But and then all the stories come out about his, he was molested as a child and everything else. So it's just
all the stuff in the background. And I mean, I'm looking at River Phoenix in this playing this Chris, and I would love to. I like to think that he'd be up there now with Keanu Reeves and Robert Downey Jr. As like probably the new Brat Pack of Hollywood.
Probably, yeah.
But with everything going on, never going to happen. But his portrayal of Chris Chambers is so amazing. There are some points where just the breakdown of him or the expression on his face is just so emotional. And the same thing goes with Corey Feldman, because the first time I watched this, I heard it in the story, but I could never really see it. And it wasn't until watching it now as you see that burn effect on Corey Feldman's ear where his dad held him to the stove, and his dad stormed the beaches of Normandy, and I feel must have been suffering from some kind of
post-traumatic stress,
which has in a way affected Teddy as well, because Teddy loves the army and loves fighting and wants to be a soldier just like his daddy, but he's uncontrollable, he's emotional, he's angry at the world. Jerry O'Connell playing Vern.
Jerry O'Connell was one of my favourite TV actors of all time, and it's all because of one cancelled TV show.
Yeah.
Sliders.
That was it. I was watching Sliders probably at the same time I was watching fucking Star Trek Next Generation. And I'm like, Will Wheaton's in Stand By Me. Yeah. Corey Feldman. Yeah. Jerry O'Connell?
Yeah.
That fat kid in fucking Stand By Me can't be this fucking hunk of fucking shit from Sliders and
right.
And Joe's Apartment and Kangaroo Jack.
It's one hell of a transformation.
Yeah. Vern's character though is probably the only one that we don't know about the parents.
He's the most childlike of all of them.
Yeah.
He's the most innocent one of all of them.
Yeah.
He's also pretty socially awkward as well.
Yeah, well, he kind of reminds me of Chunk from Goonies, kind of the way they treat him. He doesn't remember the password.
Yeah.
And he's got the info right at the start. He knows it, just like Chunk from Goonies. But, like I said, Chris's dad is a drunk and abusive. Teddy's dad is fucking... locked up because he's insane. Gordy's dad hates him because his brother is dead.
Yeah.
And yet we never see Vern's parents. But they must... I don't know if they must overprotect him, or if he's just always going to be that naive, around people.
Yeah,
but
it's likely.
But with the other boys, I mean, he's kind of got the support.
Well, it's the fact that the four of them together make quite a friendship, and you see that the moment you see all four of them in the treehouse.
Yeah.
When they're all smoking, playing cards, telling dirty jokes.
Yeah.
And the chemistry between them all, it's funny. And the three of them do pick on Vern a little bit, but that's the dynamic you have in friendship groups. It's not malicious.
Well, it's kind of weird because I was watching that. I was watching the relationships between them through the film. Like Gordy and Chris are really close.
Yes, yeah.
Like Chris really looks out for Gordy. He wants him to do well. Chris kind of accepts that he's a fuck up, or he's going to be a fuck up because the rest of his family's a fuck up.
Yeah.
So why try to avoid it if everybody thinks you're going to be that? You're going to be that. And he doesn't want to hold Gordy back.
No. Well, it's because Gordy is a writer, and Gordy's father, doesn't see the talent or the skill in his, in his second son. So
yeah, because his first son, played by John Cusack, has died in a Jeep accident, and they were he was the older, so they were kind of, I don't know, riding on hopes he was going to go to college and play football and do really, really well. And so now they are going through a depressive period. And is that the mum from Gremlins?
I don't think so.
It kind of looks like it, I'm pretty sure. I was looking at her face and it looked like she had that face like she's cooking cookies. Anyway, Vern gets the information from his older brother that they have seen the body of Ray Bowers, a young boy from their school who's been missing for a couple of days, and must have got lost on the train tracks and killed. And so the boys all decide that what would be better than actually going off on an adventure, finding the body, and then being all hailed as heroes. And so you're like, I suppose it's nice in a way, but then again, there's a dark tinge to it. And I suppose that's always the thing about Stephen King stories. There's always a dark underlying tinge, even in the sunlight and the happiness with all the music playing and you're comfortable.
Oh, yeah. Gordy's the one who kind of really gets behind the idea of going first. And he's just like, yeah, you all go and tell your parents you're sleeping at a different person's house.
Yeah.
But, he's the one who's dealing with loss more than anyone else in the group.
Yeah.
And I think maybe him just seeing a dead body would give him that kind of
closure.
Catharsis, just to understand the finality of death.
Yeah, because we do get a couple of flashbacks through the film of Gordy remembering his brother, and that really got me. Was like, you have that little moment where he gets the cap from John Cusack, and he's like, this is my lucky cap, this is for you, blah blah blah, and it's a really nice heartfelt moment. But then it's over. It's kind of darkened by the boys bumping into Ace and Eyeball. Ace, played by Kiefer Sutherland. I ain't got no problem saying it. Kiefer Sutherland, bit of a man crush.
Yeah, this guy's a TV star, he's a movie star.
He's a singer.
He's a singer.
He does fucking everything, Seeing him walk out that store and just taking the cap off of Gordy, you want to kind of snatch it back and say, like, no, you can't have that. But he just, I suppose he always just kind of oozed this, this mood of, I'm intimidating you. I am intimidating, and I will fuck you up if you cross me.
Hey, girls, where you going?
Hey, come on, man. My brother gave me that.
And now you're giving it to me.
Give it to me. Come on, man. That's mine.
Yeah.
And he plays the store hoodlum so well.
Well, it's a small town, and almost everyone in the town knows Ace as the bully.
Yeah.
And Chris kind of tries to stand up to him, but he's easily overpowered and he's forced to the ground.
Yeah.
And he's about to have a cigarette put in his face. And it's not, Ace didn't even want the hat. He just did it just to be a dick.
Yeah.
It's said that when he goes around the corner, he just throws the hat away. He's like, didn't care for it. Didn't want it.
Do you reckon he would have done that if Gordy's brother would have still been alive?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he was kind of kept in his place a little bit, but now there's like a change in the air in the town. Like I said, these four boys are setting out, and it's kind of weird as well that the gang they don't tell Ace initially about the finding of the body, because the two members feel like they're going to get in trouble for stealing a car, so they keep it as quiet as they can, giving the boys enough time to set out on their journey towards the body. Setting out on the journey is just absolutely beautiful. Chris with the gun.
Yeah, he pulls the gun out of his blanket, and it's all rolled up, and and Gordy's just like, "Whoa, let me have a look, let me play with that." As a kid, you'd be like, "Yeah, it's a gun." And he's just like, "Yeah, you got ammo for it? Yeah. Is it loaded? No. Bang! Shoots the trash can.
It's one of the greatest bits. Like you used to see it in trailers a lot. It's just their shocked face, like, Jesus! Yeah, and running. And if you've seen the film, you knew exactly what that sequence was.
Yeah, great moment.
Is it loaded? Hell no. What do you think I am? Jesus! Let's get out of here! Come on!
And there's a nice little moment with that, because you see that Gordy isn't just a pushover. He's angry at Chris for kind of letting him get into that situation. And Chris is like, look, dude, I'm really sorry. I did not know. Pinky promise. You know, and you're like, wow, okay, so, you know, they're really good friends that they are able to do that and then still reconcile after.
Yeah. There's a scene coming up soon after when they're actually on their journey and they're all sat around and they're counting. You know, they realise they got no food. You know, they're on like this 2 to 3 day trip and they got no food. You know, because they've just rushed to go on this journey, this adventure, and they're all counting change. And I love Vern. He's got like what, 6 cents.
Yeah, because he's still been looking for his jar of pennies. Underneath his house.
Yeah, and I love the flashback where you see him in there like digging up all those holes because the mum threw out the map. 9 months. But it's that's where he was when he overheard the conversation about the body.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they send Gordy to go, to the shop to go and get some food.
Yeah, well, they stop in the junkyard.
Yes,
because they need to fill up their water canteens, and everybody they play their games, and Gordy loses, and then they send him off. But you've got to be careful of Chopper.
Legend had it that Milo had trained Chopper not just to sick, but to 6 specific parts of the human anatomy.
The moment with Chopper is just. It's just great because, like I said, you relate to it as a kid doing something, trespassing somewhere that you shouldn't have been, going on a bit of an adventure, and there's just this local legend going around that the dog has been trained to sick specific body parts. So when you see Gordy come walking around the corner and all of his friends are gone from that little shadow spot, you know why.
Yeah, and they're all leaping over the fence down at the back.
And then he sends the dog after him, and you see Gordy run like fuck and jump over the fence, and then this beautiful little golden retriever runs up.
Yeah,
and probably can bite and hurt, but
they're all looking at the dog like, what?
But this is one of my favourite moments actually, is when they're kind of taking the piss out of the junkyard owner, which is obviously out of order. He's only doing his job. He's only trying to protect them from dangerous stuff. But when he turns around and says about how he knows them all and he knows Teddy's dad's a loony, and Corey Feldman's face just goes from really, really happy to just fucking angry.
Oh, yeah.
And he wants to, he actually says it as well, which I think is fucking awesome. I want to rip off your head and shit down your neck. And I'm like, Duke Nukem! Duke Nukem!
You call my dad a loony again, and I'll kill you.
Loony, loony, loony.
Ah! I'm gonna rip your head off and shut down your neck!
Say something charming to the man.
I'm gonna rip your head off and shit down your neck.
You had best unfuck yourself, or I will unscrew your head and shut down your neck!
Well, apparently Corey Feldman has said that, that's the first line of dialogue that he put in the script that wasn't there.
Right.
But then later went on to admit that he borrowed that from Dan Aykroyd.
Ah.
So.
Mom, I am going to rip off your head and shit down your neck.
But yeah, it's quite an emotional scene where they actually have to drag Teddy away.
Yeah.
Because the two of them are just shouting at each other and, he's talking about his father being in the loony bin, in the asylum, and obviously Teddy's kind of, he's a little bit unhinged himself. He's constantly pretending that he's at war.
Yeah.
We had a scene, prior to this one where he stood on the train tracks and there's a train coming at them.
Yeah.
And he's just like, ultimate train dodge.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, you idiot! Like, you're gonna get killed. Just why do that to yourself?
That's it. I was sat there when I'm watching the train sequence, and I'm like, he's got a death wish.
Yeah.
He with everything that's happened to him, he's unhinged, and it's what really keeps all this going really, really well is the narration from Richard Dreyfuss, just explaining it just a little bit more for us to keep going, and it's like you were there in the novella. It's Richard Dreyfuss is like Stephen King describing all of these elements to you. So you feel like there's an insight into this Stephen King's mind when you see somebody like Teddy, unhinged, fucking willing on killing himself, and somebody like Chris, who everybody considers a fuck up, willing on putting his life on the line to rescue his buddy.
Yeah.
And that moment when they're walking away from the junkyard and Vern starts singing. And they all just kind of look at him because, he always puts his foot in his mouth at the one point. But it's then when Teddy's like, I'm really sorry, I don't mean to upset everybody's adventure. And they're all like, nah, we're fucking bros.
Yeah.
You know, we're bros.
And we'll work through it.
Yeah. The soundtrack of this film is amazing. I mean, is there any songs from the 50s that really just don't work?
No.
You know? Because we keep cutting back to Ace and the gang, and the two guys in the gang that know where the body are wanting to say but not wanting to say at the same time. So we already had the mailbox baseball. Which is just fucking epic. And, you know, that's been made awkward. And Kiefer Sutherland's just like, will you two fags just shut the fuck up? Pardon my French. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. But we also have that moment where they're sat doing their own tattoos.
Yeah.
And they're talking about it. And Kiefer Sutherland's just like, will you shut the fuck up? And Lollipop comes on. And it cuts back to the boys on the train track. And you got Vern and Teddy just walking along, singing the song, popping it. And you just feel so...
Good.
Warm.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
I mean, it's literally over in 6 seconds.
Yeah, but
that 6 seconds
It's
feels
enough.
like almost the entire movie.
Yeah.
That feeling is just so well captured, and yeah, the choice of songs that they use, it's perfect. You know,
Yeah.
but I often find that Stephen King, you know, often writes the songs, you know, at the beginning
Yes.
of the chapters.
Yeah,
like
like
with Christine.
Christine, yeah.
And so, yeah, you know, using that fit when he's talking about the 50s and 60s, Stephen King's always at his A game.
Yeah.
Around that time period.
Yeah.
And the choice of music is just expertly done. And yeah, it really brings you into the film and the time zone that it is. You know, 1959 America.
Yeah.
The only thing I think is quite funny is that this is set in Oregon,
Right?
And that was because the filmmakers, whoever was doing the script, kind of made a mistake.
Oh,
because
yeah, it should have been
you
in
know
Maine.
where it was meant to be set, don't you?
Yeah. We all know where Castle Rock really is. It's just down the road from Derry,
Right.
and 2 seconds away from the fucking Tommyknockers, you know, and the man in black's over there somewhere. But I love this fucking little train railroad sequence here because you got 2 different contrasts. You've got Gordy and Chris talking, and Chris is talking about how they're not going to be friends once they hit high school because Gordy's going to go off and do these great things. And Gordy's just like, no, fuck you. I'm staying with you guys. And Chris starts just having a go at him like, you cannot waste this gift you have. Do not fucking do this. And Gordy's arguing back like, I do not want to do this. It's shit. Because obviously his father has made it out to be shit. Everybody's been just going on at him about his brother. And he doesn't want to leave his friends. But then you got this little argument going on. And then it cuts to Vern and Teddy. And their conversation is completely different. Because Vern's just like, who'd win in a fight? Superman or Mighty Mouse?
I love Vern's just like, well, Mighty Mouse is a cartoon and Superman's a real guy. Yeah. It's just like... Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Mighty Mouse is a cartoon. Superman is a real guy. No way a cartoon could beat up a real guy.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
But then you cut back to Chris and Gordy, and you can tell this atmosphere's a little bit awkward. But Gordy is going to listen to Chris in the end because he is the smarter. Chris Chambers never misses, you know, and he's right at this. Gordy has to go and do these big things, or he is just wasting it.
All those stories that you can make up. And he said, this is what we got for you, kid. Try not to lose it. But kids lose everything unless there's someone there to look out for them.
They come to this amazing rail bridge, which just spans this massive, huge river, and they can either walk around it, which will take ages, 5 miles down and 5 miles back, or they can cross this bridge. But they don't know when the last train's been, so they've got to walk over it carefully. Fucking Vern on all fours. I'd have fucking carried his ass. I'm like, I'm not waiting for you, motherfucker.
Man, you know, it's so sad because you just see the comb in his shirt pocket, just inching its way out.
I brought the comb.
Yeah, you know, it's like Teddy says to him, he's like, you don't even have any hair to brush it. And he's like, well, I brought it for you guys. It's like, oh. Burn. And of course the comb falls out of his pocket and you just watch it fall into the river below. But you then also see Gordy. He just keeps looking behind. He just keeps checking. You know, and he gets this suspicion and he puts his hand on the rail. Can he feel the vibrations? And he stands up and he sees the smoke plumes coming from behind the trees.
Yeah.
And he just has that moment where he just yells, And then, you just see Vern just starting to crawl quicker. Teddy and Chris are already on the other side of the bridge.
Fucking yeah, it is so tense. Like, I love the fact that the train is right. That's not a CGI train.
Well, no, but it was just superimposed in afterwards.
Really?
Yeah, it's
wow,
not, it wasn't there.
I've seen this film so many times. I've always been looking for the bits behind the train, and I always just imagined that they were just making the train go just a little bit slower than we.
They did some camera trickery where they filmed. From the wide shots, there is a train there, and it's stunt actors running across.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
There's other sequences where it's just the two of them, and the train's been superimposed in afterwards.
Right.
And the shot where it's front on, and you saw the two of them running towards the camera, and the train kind of fills the whole screen.
Yeah.
They used a kind of a telephoto lens where the train was literally the other side of the bridge. But because of the way the camera made it looked like it was right behind them. So just lots of expert camera trickery to get that effect, where you think they're going to get hit by that train.
Yeah.
But yeah, they jump, right at the end down the ditch and survive.
I did find out a bit of trivia for this film. Is that before this film was made, they had done Twilight Zone the movie, and there's a Vietnam sequence in that film. And an explosion happened to a helicopter rotor blade, and it killed a man and 2 children on set. And so it immediately put a safety thing on
all child actors
in all films. So when obviously the director came to do this film and had to film certain sequences, it was quite difficult. And so that's why all this expert planning of if we do this and get that and put this over here and put stunt actors. Works so well, especially in this sequence, because especially the use of the wide shots, establishing the bridge, the train, the kids. I fully believe that when I saw the wide shot of them running, that it was them. It was just a slow train. Like you said, the train was miles away in that close-up shot. It don't look like it.
No. No. Yeah, it's a very well done sequence and one of the most memorable in the entire film, and of course one of my favourite scenes in the film.
Yeah.
Hey, at least now we know when the next train was due.
The boys decide to camp for the night, and luckily they've still got the burgers that Gordy picked up from the shop earlier, and they're all looking forward to that one cigarette after their meal, so that they can sit and chill. And this is where the film kind of establishes that Gordy is a really good writer, and this, if you're a fan, this is your connection to Stephen King.
Yeah.
Because we get the kind of story within the story, I suppose, with the story of Lardass and his Barforama.
The pie eating contest. Oh man. If you're a child and you've seen this film, you will remember this scene.
Yeah.
And Gordy explains that Lardass, he's been bullied his whole life.
Yeah.
He's really large, and this is a story of revenge.
Yes.
And he doesn't plan on winning the pie eating contest, and you see the shot of him outside drinking that oil, downs the whole bowl, and then breaks an egg. And apparently you can hear the egg actually hit the ground because he doesn't swallow the egg; it falls down beside him.
I didn't understand why he ate the egg. I figured the cod liver oil would have been enough, and then having to eat those pies.
But it's the description that Gordy gives of him, thinking about sewage and dead rat carcasses and things as he's eating.
Yeah.
But it's that sound effect. You can hear his stomach churning. And and you see all the faces going down into that pie.
Yeah.
You see the horrified expressions of those in the contest looking at him like, is he going to burst? What is that sound? It's unearthly. And he turns and he vomits right in his face.
On
the
that guy's
blueberry
face,
pie.
yeah. Fuck that guy.
In all the times I've seen this film before, it was only this viewing now that I think I've seen it in HD.
Yeah.
That you can literally see the
side.
pipe. It's like it missed on every shot of vomit in this film. You can see that it's not coming from their mouths.
Yeah, but I put that. I was going to say that as well, but I put that down because I was looking. Because we were reviewing it, we're looking like we always do. We're looking for that little error,
Looking
and
for the boom mics popping in and
yeah,
out, and
continuity. And because we we know he's not really being sick before he's being sick, we're looking like, I can just see the pipe.
Yeah.
But still, when it hits his face, and then the old lady throws up in her bag, and the kids throw up, and there's just barf everywhere, and Lord Ash just sat there so happy that when the story ends, you're like, oh fuck yeah, I'm in the woods with the boys.
Yeah.
You know, that was just a story.
But I kind of like this comment where Teddy's just like, so what happens next?
Yeah.
And Gordy's like, no, that's the end. And Teddy's just like, well, that ending sucks. And I'm like, well, that's the criticism of almost every Stephen King story.
I thought the same thing, yeah. Because I was with Vern, where Vern was like, I kind of like that story.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing I didn't understand was this. Oh, that's it. Oh yeah, no, good ending.
Yeah, totally great ending, Vern.
Yeah, totally.
Did Lourdes have to pay to get in the contest? No, Vern. They just let him in.
Oh, great. Great story.
I fucking loved it when they were standing guard.
Yeah, they hear a noise in the woods. It was like coyotes or wolves.
Yeah, wolves or
What is it?
fucking something. But each one of them, and it builds up to some amazing sequence, because you got Teddy, who's initially on guard with the gun, but he's talking, and everybody is just trying to go to sleep.
Yeah.
But then you cut to Vern, and Vern is just jumpy to every little fucking noise. And I kept wondering, did they take the bullets out of the gun when they gave it to Vern, just to make sure? But then you get the kind of the moment between Chris and Gordy, and Chris is on guard, and he sees Gordy's having a nightmare, and Gordy dreams about his dad telling him it should have been you instead of his brother dying, which you think is fucking harsh. And I mean, you should recognize it. I mean, the dad is the guy from Starship Troopers and Freddy's Revenge, and he's a dick in both of those films as well. So, you know, he's another one of those guys.
Yeah.
You know, so, but Gordy wakes up and sees that Chris is still standing on guard, and kind of just sits with him and chills. And then Chris gets all emotional.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the film, where he just explains, like, in the town that he's growing up in, he's known as a fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, he is automatically blamed for every fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, and then Gordy asks him, like, well, did you steal the milk money?
Yeah.
And he says, yeah, he did. But it was the fact that nobody asked whether he had. It was just, oh, Chris Chambers stole the milk money.
Yeah. And then his reaction where he says, like, well, what about if I took it back to the teachers?
Yeah.
And what if the teacher didn't actually give it back and bought herself something new? And then Gordy's realization that did happen.
Yeah.
And you're like I said, this is what I related to when I was a kid, and it makes me even more relate to it as an adult, as a parent myself. You know, that as an adult, adults will initially look at something on the floor and go, oh yeah, it's the kid's fault. Initially, because that's what they used to. But I've actually been taking the stance recently of, I'm not blaming everything on every single kid that I see. I'm not doing that unless you give me 110 fucking % proof that it was him. I'll blame it on anybody else because of this reason alone, because there are adults out there that will take advantage of children, especially ones that are in plight, you know. And so when you see the breakdown on River Phoenix's face, oh my god, it hits me, bro.
Yeah, it felt real. It felt authentic. And, you know, and then behind the scenes, the director had to come over and put his arm around, River Phoenix for a little while and just bring him back. Yeah, you know, because he went to that place.
Yeah. I love the next sequence as well, where Gordy's on guard and he's reading the comic book.
Yeah.
And the deer comes up.
That's a great moment.
Yeah. It's always been a great moment for me, because with everything going on in the film, it's just so peaceful.
Yeah.
And then with Richard Dreyfuss's words later, where he's like, I never told anybody about that until I wrote it down.
It was like a symbol of hope.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, they were off to go and see a dead body, and the deer kind of, you know, really represented life.
Yeah.
And innocence as well. And I think that was just something that he wanted to keep for himself, because if he shared it with the others,
they might ridicule him. And
well, it just, you know, I just think that then the moment wouldn't have been so special for him anymore.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
The freight woke up the other guys, and it was on the tip of my tongue to tell them about the deer. But I didn't. That was the one thing I kept to myself.
So, you know, they're not far now. unless, they decide to carry on following the train tracks, which goes in the wrong direction. So they decide they're going to have to take a shortcut.
Yeah, just across this field.
Just across the field and through the woods. Of course, Vern is like, no, not doing that. And the other three are already gone.
Yeah.
But, Vern being Vern, he's not going to get left behind. And you get that moment where they're just looking at this pond. They're like, there's no way around it. We're going to go through it. So Chris grabs a stick. And he's like, yeah, it's quite shallow. We'll be able to go across.
I'm sorry. I think this is probably the one part of Chris Chambers where I'm like, dude, you don't know anything. Like 2 inches into the water, like, yeah, it's fine. I'm like, fuck off, it's like 10 feet.
Now, I read a story with Corey Feldman, and he was just like, they built that because they didn't want to just put these child actors through an actual pond. So they constructed it. They built it and put fresh water in there so it would, be safe.
Yeah.
But then it was 3 months later before they filmed the sequence.
Oh my God.
And so they were just like, we got to the point of doing this and we had no idea what was in there anymore.
No, I was going to say, yeah. Dysentery and all that kind of shit.
But, that was as safe as it could be.
Yeah, I put that... And even knowing... Like, I didn't know that it was fake. It does look real, them being in the woods. And, I mean, how many of us, when we were kids, didn't end up in a pond?
Stuck in mud.
I was jumping off railway bridges when I was a kid into fucking... God knows fucking what, you know, and yeah, your parents give you grief, but it's the thing you do as a kid. It helps build up your immunity. So when they fall in the water and they're all kind of upset with each other, then they all start having a laugh, and you start having a laugh as well. Up until you remember it's a fucking Stephen King story, and there's a darkness in it, and they all have leeches all over themselves.
It's horrible.
Yeah,
the size of those leeches, they're all over their bodies.
I mean, it's like leeches aren't like killers.
No.
And you can easily just take them off. It's just one of those things where you're like, oh, it could have been anything.
It's slimy and it's horrible.
Yeah.
And they're blood suckers.
And then you find one on your dick.
Oh, shit, Chris. Oh, shit, man.
That sequence from fucking Will Wheaton is... Like, if you ever knew, if people ever go, I don't think Will Wheaton's a great actor, you watch that fucking sequence and tell me you do not feel scared and worried when you pull out something like that from your private parts.
Yeah.
And I love the way that the other actors are able to rally around him with their fucking trousers still back around their ankles, and they're trying to help him.
Yeah.
And then when they get themselves ready, they're like, look, maybe we should just take him back. And Gordy is the one who's like, no. Mm-hmm. We've come this far.
Right. I also just want to say that the special effects on those leeches, fantastic. Because they're not real leeches.
Oh, what, man? This whole film's been spoiled for me right from the start.
Yeah, they're totally fake.
Oh,
but
wow.
So believable.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Ace and his gang have now been told all the information about where the body is. And so Ace has come up with a great idea of them all going out with a bunch of fishing stuff and finding the body and taking all the glory for themselves. But you see, like, into the mind of Ace at these 2 points where you realize he's a massive bully and he is controlling, because he forces the two guys into his car because they don't want to go, they don't want to be involved, and he's like, no, you're going to get in the car because in a way I'm going to use you just in case I get in trouble.
Yeah.
But you also have that race sequence as they're going down the road, and there's that lorry coming towards Ace. And the lorry has to swerve because Ace is like, I'll kill you, me, every motherfucker, just to get my fucking way. And you're like, you can't be willing on doing that, mate. I'm sorry. That's just... But it also takes me back to... Is it Henry Bowers in fucking It?
Yeah.
So we've got Ray Bowers.
Yeah.
And we've got Henry Bowers.
Yeah.
I know that... I only heard the name. I'm pretty sure they're not related.
I don't think they are. I think there's a slight difference in the name. I'm not sure.
But it's like Ace is like Henry from It.
Yes, yeah. With the flip knife and everything.
Yeah, and the attitude and like his willingness to kill kids.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, okay. Got a clown costume in the back of your car there. But the boys finally make it to the body. And they start to obviously get themselves prepared to take the body back. But Gordy is, like you said, he must have seen the body and took his memory back to his brother because he starts to break down about why his brother had to die and why his dad and mum hate him.
Yeah.
And everything starts to get a bit more emotional. And then Ace turns up with his gang. And Chris stands his ground once again. Chris is not giving up the body. They have just gone through hell and high water to fucking get here.
Yeah.
And they are not having it taken away. And Ace is ready to kill Chris.
Right. Now, in the book, Chris pulls the gun.
Yeah.
But in the film, Gordy pulls the gun out on Ace.
Yeah.
And just says, no, we found the body. We got here first. Go, leave.
Yeah.
And Ace is just like, you ain't going to shoot it. You ain't going to shoot all of us.
Yeah.
And one of my favourite lines in the films where he's just like, no, Ace. Just you. And you can see Ace just contemplating it for a minute. He's just like...
He's not fast enough.
Not fast enough, and he's not willing to die over this. And so, he has to back away. But, he...
Which, in a way, kind of makes the rest of the gang go, well, if he can do it, maybe the rest of us can as well.
Yeah. But that's not what the film's about. That
No.
just kind of gets rid of him. He defeats the bully.
That's it.
Now.
That is the main thing. It's he needs to defeat the bully, and it is a great moment because Gordy will kill him.
Oh yeah.
To protect his friends, to protect himself and Chris, he will kill Ace, Eyeball, all of them, as many as he can.
Well, I mean, it's Chris Chambers' brother that's there next to him as well. So, yeah.
And I suppose that's another thing as well. It's like, because you got Vern's brother there as well.
Yeah.
And Gordy standing up, it's like, we don't want you fucking with us anymore. We're going through a hard enough time as it is in our fucking lives without you guys picking on us too. And our fucking parents. So, back the fuck off. But I love the fact that when they leave, Gordy's like, we're not taking the body.
Yeah.
And he's been on it since the start of the journey by saying, look, maybe it's not supposed to be a good thing we're going on this. We're going to find a dead kid's body. And how can you take a kid's body back into town and try to be happy that you are the heroes? Because in a way, parents are still going to have to bury it. So in a nice way, they kind of just cover it and leave an anonymous
Well, they
phone
decide
call.
to call the police, and just tell them where the body is.
Yeah.
That's quite an ending. It's the gut punch ending which really follows after that. When the four of them return back into town. And just the comment, that the town seemed smaller after their 2 days away.
Yeah.
And any life changing moment that occurs to you when you then return home, everything just does feel just irrelevant. Almost.
Yeah. But then at the same time, it's like they've had like a little boost. Like they are doing a good thing. They are having a good time. Yeah, this is the best time of their lives.
Yeah.
But they've got a chance to do more. And I mean, it's kind of sad that you hear that Vern and Teddy just went off, and Vern got married, and Teddy.
It's incredibly sad. That their friendship that was the end of their friendship for the most part.
Yeah, but that's the thing, mate. That's as I said, as an adult, that's what happened.
Yeah, that's life.
I wouldn't say it's life. I would say it does happen. You have the chance to catch up with your friends and things like that, but it depends. And for me, it's the relationship between Gordy and Chris at this point, which is the real gut punch, because they're talking about how they're going to still hook up, and
well, it's the fact that they'd mentioned throughout that Gordy, Chris convinced Gordy he was going to go to college and become a writer.
Yeah.
And Gordy manages to convince Chris
to
also come to college, and he does.
Yeah.
Get out of the town, changes his life, and goes and becomes a lawyer. Only to go into a restaurant or a store to have two people arguing in front of him. One of them pulls a knife and stabs Chris Chambers in the throat, where he dies instantly.
Yeah.
It's just like,
I hate that fade out.
Yeah, as you see Chris walk away and just fade. It's because you're seeing River Phoenix go. You're seeing Chris Chambers go. Yeah. And it's devastating. Like, as an audience member watching this film, it's such an emotional impact. It's horrible. Especially with the fact that Gordy's also lost friendship with Teddy and Vern as well. But I will say that, it hits you hard, when you see grown-up Gordy sat there finishing the book, and he puts that closing sentence in about, how you never have friends like you did when you were 12 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just amazing. And he's got kids of his own.
I love that bit where his son comes in and he's like, "Oh, Dad, are we going? Oh, yeah, I'll be there in a minute." That's what you said an hour ago. And there's that little sly smile from Richard Dreyfuss, like he recognizes, like
his childhood.
I've got to go deal with him because he's got his friend nearby. And soon as that song comes up, oh my God, Niagara fucking Falls.
Yeah. Now I will say that the film adaptation is a better ending than the book.
Right. Okay.
Because in the book, Vern, a few years after this, goes to a house party.
Yeah.
And dies in a fire.
Okie dokie.
Teddy ends up becoming addicted to drugs and alcohol, speeds off in his car with a group of people and crashes it and kills himself and everyone in the car.
Right.
And then Chris, 10 years after that, gets stabbed in the throat and dies. And so literally at the end of the book, the only one left alive is Gordy. And it's just like, God damn.
Yeah. Stephen King, stop sticking stuff in that world. Everybody dies.
Yeah, it's pretty harsh.
Yeah, man.
So, as harsh as the film is, it's with at least Vern has a family.
Yeah,
that one is fine.
If this film had ended with like Vern going, "Hey, a penny," and walking off, and it going, "Yeah, Vern fucking died in a fire," like fucking 10 years later, I'd have been like, turn the film up and down.
Yeah.
Just going, but this is why this film works really, 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 really well, and I suppose in a way that's kind of why Stephen King stuff. If it's not dark like Misery or The Shining, there's a dark undertone like The Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption, and Stand By Me.
Yeah.
We don't always have to be in this dark fucking world whenever we adapt a Stephen King story. We just need to take the little bits and kind of make it realistic for ourselves to make it relatable, I suppose.
Yeah.
Too much darkness, Chris.
So I've got quite a few favourite scenes.
Hit them up, man.
There are so many to pick from that I'm sure I will miss a couple.
Yeah.
The train dodge. Oh, yeah. Not Teddy's train dodge, but the two of them.
Yeah, running along with
Gordy
Vern.
and Vern running past that train, just amazing.
Yeah.
The Barfarama. Just everyone throwing up in their purses on the heads of other people. Yeah. It's you look at it and go, but none of the people in the audience were eating the blueberry pie.
Yeah.
But then you're just like, it's the story of a child.
It's a story.
Yeah.
It's a story by Stephen King. Yeah.
Yeah. The leech pond. Once you've seen the film, you're never going to want to get in muddy water again.
No, fuck that shit.
The deer coming up next to Gordy on the tracks towards the end.
Yeah.
Just such a great moment. And then Gordy's line to Ace, "Now just you Ace." It's just great.
I like the other one. "Suck my big fat one."
Suck my fat chode. You dime store hood.
Suck my fat one, you cheap dime store hood.
I've got a few, but mainly the whole film is fucking amazing, really. But I remember just particular scenes because I've seen them so many times. And as soon as I see that sequence, I know the fucking film and I know how I feel about it. The shooting the gun in the alleyway, like I said, I've seen that on a trailer so many times. Shit, Jesus Christ, and it's just fun, and it's like it coincides with like the chopper sick ball sequence where they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing. And they could really get into trouble for it. But you're along with the ride with them because, well, you were a kid too, and we all got into trouble, but never really bad.
Yeah,
that's the thing with these kids. They are not bad kids. They're just in a bad time. I love the mailbox baseball. I wish I'd played that. Really? I mean, well, yeah. Can you imagine the looks on the parents' faces every day coming out and finding the fucking mailbox? It's just a mailbox. Nail the fucking thing back down. Then come back and bang! The lollipop scene. The way the music starts in one sequence, ends in the next sequence. The boys are singing in time with the actual words. And then the unfolding of the whole scene itself. The conversation between Chris and Gordy and Vern and Teddy. Just the two comparisons of kids' conversations. One's quite mature.
Yes,
and one's talking about cartoons. But then it's Teddy's line, like, Superman's a real guy. Like you said, the railway rail bridge sequence. I mean, amazingly filmed, amazingly edited. The sound is just so brilliant as well, and the fact that it looks so real and yet it's not.
Yeah.
Same with the leeches. Fucking when he pulls that leech out and there's blood there, I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe they used a real leech.
No.
The final sequence standing off with Ace.
Yeah.
You know, just you, Ace. Just you.
I think it should come as no surprise that I'm definitely going to be recommending Stand By Me. But before I do, I just want to bring up Jack Nitzsche, who did the film's score.
Yeah.
He was the guy who did the music for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, nice.
And I mentioned that film a lot because it is one of my favourite films.
Yeah.
But the music in that was so appropriate, and the music in this, other than the songs that he used, it's that the music is what it resonates. Even after the film's finished, you hear that piece of music and you just want to tear up.
Oh God!
You immediately think of your own childhood friendships, and you think of River Phoenix and Will Wheaton and their friendship, and how their lives have just been changed by this event. And the music just kind of captures all of that. It's kind of the music itself feels very reflective, and it truly captures the film's emotion. It's truly fantastic. This film comes with my highest recommendation. I absolutely love this film. It is one of the most relatable movies ever made, with strong themes of friendship and coming of age, with dealing with loss, and just how one event can change you forever. This is a near perfect film, and over 30 years later, this film remains a timeless classic. It is got beautiful cinema photography, expert casting and direction, and a film that emotionally resonates with you long after the credits roll. This is one of my favourite films ever made. It's a must-watch. It is a masterpiece.
I definitely recommend this film. If you're over the age of 12, I suppose, if you're 12 yourself, you could watch this film and enjoy it. Any younger than that, you won't get it. There's a lot of kind of partial adult.
There's also a lot of swearing in the film.
Yeah, there's also a lot of swearing, and there's a dead body. So yeah, but kids watch films at silly ages. They've got access to so many films nowadays that God knows what they're watching when they're watching Transformers or fucking Lego Movie and all this other stuff. Where Stand By Me is real. And a lot of people might be like, oh, maybe I don't want my kid to watch it. Then watch it with them. Okay?
I'd say that. But
watch it with them.
This is a film for adults.
No.
But yes, it is.
Well,
it is. Kids can enjoy it, but this is a film for adults.
When you go through the serious shit with a kid, when you see your child in pain and you can't do anything about it, that's an emotion not many people can understand. When you are unable to help them, because they're heartbroken, their friends hate them, they're being bullied, and you kind of want to say to them, well, that's life, and just let them go on with it. But I can't, I personally can't do that, because I've been through that. I had to fight because my parents didn't want to support me like that. So I'm not going to do that with my kid. I'm going to support him every way. I do not want to end up like Gordy's parents. I do not want to end up like Chris's parents. In a way, I don't really want to be like Vern's parents. I want to be supportive and loving. And in a way, if that means I sit down with my child and I say, let's watch a film, but something that isn't fantasy based, something that you might relate to. At the end of the day, it will open his eyes as well open their eyes as well to other Stephen King stuff, which, yeah, definitely you should probably wait until you're a little bit older to watch, because imagine Dylan coming into my room with a sledgehammer saying, Dad, let's play Misery.
Come on, Teddy, act your age. This is my age. I'm in the prime of my youth, and I'll only be young once. Yeah, but you're gonna be stupid for the rest of your life.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
I ran all the way just to say I'm sorry. What can I say? I ran all the way. Yeah,
when your mother goes around the corner and she licks it up.